Hey everybody, now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, the legendary George C. Romero, son of legendary director George A. Romero, host of the Indie Brigade, movie producer, director, total badass, and hello and welcome to the show. We're very happy to have you.
Thank you, guys. I'm thrilled to be here with you both. What is it
you
going to take for you to travel around with me and introduce me everywhere?
Right. Was that some bullshit introduction or what? Anyway, listen to this. I don't bullshit anybody. Swear to God on this one, in case you think I'm full of shit, forget about it. I'm not. We watched Night of the Living Dead a week ago because Jimmy had never seen the original.
That's what he was saying.
I said I saw the original in 1958 or 59.
No, 68.
Anyway, it came on television in the 60s. And I remember being with Sal, my deceased partner, and the both of us were watching that movie. Remember now, no one had ever seen a zombie. No one, except for the black guys that used to walk around with the white eyeballs. You know, they used to walk like morons. Anyway, nobody ever saw anyone devouring and eating flesh.
Nope.
No one had ever seen anything like Night of the Living Dead.
Nope.
I have never been frightened by any other movie since Night of the Living Dead. Now I look at it and I'm used to it because I'm, what's the word? Numb. Because I see heads rolling, people blowing up. It's no big deal anymore. But when your dad did that film, he had a vision that was incredible. I believe the film cost $65,000 to make.
Somewhere like that. I think it translates in modern day to just a little over 100,000 in modern dollars. So, I mean, it was unheard of what they did back then. I mean,
a work of genius. Your dad was a genius to have produced that film, to have the vision to make people come up from the grave because of something happening in outer space and devouring humans. I thought it was a brilliant piece of work.
And he was afraid of it. And
I was very afraid of it. And
which, by the way, I didn't introduce you. This is Ron.
Oh, fuck you and your introductions.
Hey, Ron. It's nice to meet you. We're Facebook friends. It's really nice to meet you formally.
Yeah, he's like a fucking introduction freak. All he wants to do is these big introductions.
I like introductions because when we send the show out on Comcast and other places, I got to have an introduction.
Yeah, well, nobody gives a shit who I am. Nobody gives a fuck who I am. They want to hear what we have to say. And his dad was good. Now listen to me. Did no smoke up your ass either, buddy. Your stuff is good. So what is it? An inherited gene, or did you learn from dad, or what is it all about?
The apple didn't far fall from the tree.
Absolutely not, because your stuff is weird shit. You have some weird shit out there. I mean, really fucked up mentality. You must have been nuts when you wrote them. You had to have been like freaking out. I mean, it's got to be mental illness. You have to have a little. No, really, your movies are really grossing people out.
I love them.
They are spookola.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I'll tell you, you know, it's funny. My dad is obviously, everybody knows who my dad was. God rest his soul. But, you know, my mom was one of the first female vice presidents of an advertising agency in the United States. And that's how they met. And he was doing tourism films for the state of Pennsylvania when they met. And so I had my dad, who was this art filmmaker, and my mom, who was this commercial, like this, you know, this monster in corporate America back then in the ad world. So I'm sort of a combination of an ad man and an artist. And so I think I was doomed. You know, neither of them really wanted me to go into this life. My mom wanted me to be an accountant. But I'm sorry. Can you imagine coming to me for your taxes? Like, what the fuck?
Are you kidding?
I know. My mom and dad wanted me to be an accountant too. I even have a degree.
My mother was an actress. My mother was a silent movie actress, and she used to say to me, "Ronnie, you want to be an actor? You starve. Go work for the New York City." You know, dig ditches, because you have very good benefits. When you're 50, you can retire if you're a ditch digger. Fuck you, Ma. Ditch digger. I mean, could you make me out? So I became a hairdresser. My father had a nervous breakdown. He said, "Oh, Yvette, my son is gay."
Hold on real quick, too. We have a chat room filled with people. Right now we have Germany. Let's see. We have Germany, Australia, England, Canada, United States. Just say hi to everybody in the chat room.
Hey, everybody in the chat room. Where's the chat room? How do I see? Can I see the chat room?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
You can?
I think if you go to comment, do you have a little bar next to the side? It says comments.
Yeah, comments.
No.
That's your
Hit
okay.
comments. That's our chat room, and then if you hit private chat, that's when Rebel who sends us messages like.
And I'm not gonna brag, but I am gonna brag. 4.5 million or better are watching us now. Also,
not yet, in syndication.
Well, in syndication. Also, Jimmy and I were voted the #1 show in the world, podcast show. We beat out Howard Stern and who else? What's the other guy's name?
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. And fucking Joe Rogan makes like 30 million
25
million a year. And Jimmy and I make shit.
That's not true. You guys get paid in good feelings and the
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Just like
you can shove good feelings, you know where. I would like a Tesla car, all electric. You know.
Well, congratulations on the Amazon thing. That's big news.
Oh yeah, he just heard that, so that just happened now. So you'll have to get on there too.
But wait a minute. Can you help us figure out how come we don't make any money?
Actually,
we're like diarrhea. We're all over the place.
We don't do the Indie Brigade for any money. I mean, we don't. You know, everybody who does the Indie Brigade, we donate our time and we do it for. You know, I mean, look. I think where we come from with the Indie Brigade is we're just out there trying to help people, and with the Veterans Compound. We're just out there trying to help people.
Wait a second, hold on, because let's
talk about it.
No, a lot of our people do not know I know what it is because I was a guest and I'm a friend of yours, so I know what it is. But why don't you tell people what the Indie Brigade is and then tell people how they watch it, and that way we can get a good proper plug for it.
Sure, yeah. The Indie Brigade actually is this. It's become kind of a monster, and it's probably one of the best things I've ever done or been a part of in my life. You know, there's a guy named Joe Ridgely, Jimmy.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe.
Yeah. And he came to me and asked me if I want to do a podcast. And I said, well, you know, maybe. What am I going to do? I thought I was going to be sitting in the corner of the internet crying in my soup or something. And, you know, so we did a couple episodes and I talked to a good buddy of mine who was on your show, Richard Grieco. And he is the one who, he's the one who convinced me actually to do it. And so we set out and we started this little podcast, and then we relaunched earlier this year in January. I rebranded Romero Pictures and rebranded the Indie Brigade with the goal of moving everything forward into the next 100 years of Romero. And the Indie Brigade has become a full-blown podcast network. We just added our 10th show, and the Indie Brigade is a place for filmmakers. I don't want to even say first and foremost, but it's a place for filmmakers, artists, creatives, writers, authors, painters, singer-songwriters, musicians, whatever you have. If you're a creative, we've got a spot for you in our heart, and we've got a spot for you in our brigade. And you know, we've turned into this thing, guys, where our audience members, they don't even call themselves fans or audience members. They call themselves members, right? They're members of the Indie Brigade.
Yeah, but listen to me.
We call ours friends.
Listen to me. Your show is not that good. Because you have never had me on.
Well, Ron, all you have to do is say the word. Are you kidding me?
You have Brain Dead Jimmy on, who's boring. You couldn't have me on. Now listen,
you're not a big horror fan. Even though you're in all those horror.
You guys come on the week after next.
You know how many fucking horror movies I'm in? I'm in 4 that are coming out now in the next couple of months. I'm in them, but I don't like them. I mean, I don't watch them because I don't like heads. It's just, it bothers me.
How does that work? How do you be in horror movies and you don't like horror movies?
Well, I was very happy to be spared at the Big Friggin' Rat. Joe Castro, who is a genius.
He's very good friends with Joe Castro.
Well, I adore Joe Castro. And there's nobody that makes ugly, disgusting fucking monsters like him. Spit coming out, blood, red eyes. You could vomit. When I went on the set and I saw that rat, I thought, oy vey, this is going to bite me. This rat's going to take my leg off and throw me against the wall. Well, luckily, they said you can't do it because you're not insured. They found out my age, and they were afraid I'd break a hip.
Actually, does he know how old? Do you have any idea how old Ron is?
Every week you do that bullshit.
I know, but he doesn't know you,
he
so
need to know.
How old do I think Ron? I think Ron's about 47.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh my God, you just got a friend for life.
Yeah, you
that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, Listen,
He's 80 though. Isn't that cool?
Why do you do that all the time?
Why? Because it's amazing that you're 80 and you're still working.
Did you know that Richard
Grieco
and I met peeing next to each other? It was so romantic.
I do know that.
He was in the urinal. I was in the urinal, and I said, "Rich, come on our TV show." He just gave me a dirty look. So I was propositioning him to come on the show while he was peeing. I never looked down to see if he had a big bird or not. I wouldn't do that. But I should have. I bet I could have been paid just to give that information out. But anyway, he's a cool guy. I like what's all about him. You know, we found out more things about him, of course, after he was on the show. And I just think that he needs to work more and make a lot of money and get back up in the spirit of things.
We love him. And you know what I love about Richard is that you know, he's a huge part of the Indie Brigade, and one of the things that has been great for him, I think, as speaking as his friend, he's really allowed the world to kind of see a lot of different sides of his own creativity. You know, he's put out a song now that I helped him get out there. We did a music video for that. That was around the time that he came on your show. And he paints, and he writes, and he directs, and you know, he's really he's allowing the world to see more into his world.
But the one thing that he's not really recognized for is he's a good actor.
He's a phenomenal actor.
And he photographs well. He's got an interesting face, and he's got good personality. Yeah. And I think that he should be like up there with frig Johnny Depp and that other jerk Brad Pitt. He should be up there with them.
He is in my opinion. Huh? He is in my opinion.
Yeah, my opinion too, but he didn't get the breaks that Johnny Depp got. Did you know that Johnny?
We need
Depp,
him to get making 20 million a picture.
Did you know that Johnny Depp does not like to study his lines? So when he gets a script, he doesn't read it. He puts an earplug in, and they feed him every line. And for that, he gets how many millions?
Like 20 million a picture.
20 million a picture to be fed lines in his fucking ear. They could stick that mic up my ass and I go on for $10,000 a film, right? I mean, I don't give a shit where they put that mic. I mean, you know, it's amazing how these people just score.
So hang on, go back. So you guys, first of all, Indie Brigade, it's Friday nights, right? Let's tell everybody. How do they see the Indie Brigade?
We're live every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we go through midnight. My show goes till almost 11 o'clock, and then we've got another show that comes on right after mine with a gentleman hosted by a gentleman named David Lee Madison.
We know. So listen to this story.
On your show,
actually. Oh, we got stories for days.
No, we got a story about this. So we were in Pennsylvania because, you know, we moved to California from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and we were where's that town that we wanted to move to? Maybe because it has a lot of gay people.
New Hope.
No. It's up in the mountains. Like we ate at a diner and we met David Lee Madison sitting at the diner.
Yeah. Oh, I love that little
I forgot where it was. We're the Black Bear Film Festival. Milford, Pennsylvania. And we were sitting at a diner eating lunch because we were looking at real estate, thinking that if we didn't move to California, maybe we were going to move to Milford. And I looked over, and this guy's like staring at me, and he looked familiar, but I wasn't sure because he'd been on our show a ton of times when we first started, but I didn't actually had never met him.
And I recognized him too, and I couldn't place.
And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you Jimmy Starr?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "I'm Dave Madison." I was like, "Oh," because the name I knew. And it was just so like how like unusual and wild is that like you'd be like have no idea, and you're sitting at a diner with somebody you know that you actually know but you don't know.
He turned out to be a really
great guy,
nice guy. We had a good afternoon with him, and he was excited. He thought we were moving up there. He was telling us that there are so many people in film and actors that live in Milford that it's almost like a little Hollywood.
Yeah.
But Milford gets those 20 belows, and I don't do 20 belows anymore.
Yeah, neither does my wife.
That fucking cold, you can have it. I mean, summer's cute in the mountains. It's cool and breezy. But in the winter, forget about it for Eskimos.
So you guys, it's Friday night, the Indie Brigade. You want to check it out. It's fabulous. It's a lot of fun.
Interruption. Are you really putting us on next week?
No, not this week.
Next week. Friday, next Friday.
Book it. I want to come on your show.
Booked.
Good.
It'll be fun.
I hope Joe's watching. Joe, if you're watching.
Oh, Joe Castro?
No, Joe Ridgely.
Oh, Joe Ridgely.
I love Joe Ridgely. He's super fabulous. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. First of all,
wait, one more question.
Okay.
So does Joe Castro make all your monsters for your movies?
Not yet, but I actually am about to work with Joe for the very first time on a project that I am helping one of the Indie Brigade filmmakers put together. We've got this is one of the things about the brigade that I love is that there's so much collaboration that has been born out of it, you know. And what I think has resonated so much with people about the Indie Brigade guys is that, you know, so many artists feel like they're out there alone. They feel like that they're the only people doing things, because a lot of times we end up in these isolated bubbles of struggle and sort of desperation. And you know, the Indie Brigade is a place for everybody to realize that not only are they not alone, but there's a lot of people out there like them. And I've been seeing a lot of collaboration start to come out of the Indie Brigade, especially through our last season. We just started season 5 2 Fridays ago, and or no, last Friday. And you know, I think we saw a little bit of the collaboration in the early seasons, but nothing like what we're seeing now. We're seeing a boom of people start to reach out, start to work with each other, and most importantly, start to support and help and care about each other. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't see some member of the Indie Brigade, you know, maybe make a comment about struggling with something or trying to figure something out. And here comes other members of the brigade to lift them up.
To help. I love that.
Let's include Jimmy and I in that brigade.
I'm in it.
Well, I'm not. How come you didn't? You know, I really sometimes think that you're not with me. You know, I think you're a jealous fucking enemy.
No, I don't put you because like you don't really like horror. Like these are like people. These are like diehard horror people.
I don't like you when I'm with you.
Yeah, right.
You know, the funny thing is, we didn't set out to be horror, but I guess because of me and the Romero of it all, we kind of like we went de facto to horror, right? And but you know, our message is not just horror limited. We're genre limited, and we're independent limited, and we're definitely not fucking mainstream Hollywood. I can tell you that. Most of the shit that we give away, most of the stuff that we talk about, and the knowledge that we drop would probably piss off most of mainstream Hollywood.
Now,
so.
George, not that I want to jump your bones, but you have the sexiest voice.
I was going to say that too.
It's a sexy voice. I bet you when the chicks are laying in the dark and you say, like, is it in? They get excited. That voice is so sexy.
Well, thank you very much. And, you know, there's only one there, and that'd be my wife. And I love her. I love her more than anything. So,
well, what does she think of your voice?
She loves it. She loves it. Are you kidding me? I didn't even agree to meet with her face to face for 2 years until I just used my voice to get her to marry me. She didn't meet me until a year after we were married.
See that? I don't have a good voice. I have a harsh, broken voice, but I have beauty, and beauty pays.
I freaking love it.
You know, look what I married. Look at the gift I got.
Hey,
I got the brass ring. I should have choked on it. But anyway,
that's not nice.
Oh, I'm only kidding. I got you know, we're married 9 years in October. It went so
on my birthday. We got married on my birthday.
It went by so with fags, you know. It went by so fast. It went by
congratulations.
So fast.
9 years, that's a long time.
And Jimmy just had his 3rd abortion, and now he's going in to have uterus replacement.
So I have a question for you. So because it used to be Romero Pictures Indie Brigade, and now I saw on the new that we put on the graphic, it says Films Used to Be Dangerous LLC. Explain that to me a little bit.
Oh, it's Romero Pictures LLC. Films Used to Be Dangerous is my slogan. It's my tagline. What do the kids say these days? It's my hashtag, right?
Yes, yeah.
So
hashtag.
It's back when we were talking about Night of the Living Dead in the beginning. When my dad put that out in 1968, you know, there were I want to say it was members of the U.S. Congress, and I
wait, 68 or 58?
68.
Was it 68?
So,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I mean, there were members of the U.S. government that were making statements like George Romero is dangerous. Films like this are dangerous. Filmmakers like George A. Romero should not be allowed to make films like this because he's going to destroy America and all that other stuff. So it kind of turned in the years as I kind of grew into the legacy that he left behind, and and grew into the fact that I am George Romero now. Obviously not the George Romero, but I'm the only one we got left. So, you know, I realized what it meant to say films used to be dangerous. And, you know, there's a weight that goes with that and a responsibility that I believe that goes with that in terms of carrying on the next 100 years of my family name with the true spirit and intention of what I believe that my father and his partners set out with back so many years ago, more than 50 years ago now.
But do you feel that there's too much machine gunning going on in films, that young kids have the desire to see what that feels like to mow down 30, 40 people? I say to Jimmy, there are more bullets shot in film than semen. You know, I mean, we need more semen shooting, less bullets.
I don't know about that. You know, I mean, like, dude, I remember in the 80s when people used to say it was heavy metal music that was making people do crazy shit. And then it was Dungeons and Dragons that was making people do crazy shit. And then it was horror movies, and now it's action movies. And I don't know. When I was growing up, we would watch all that stuff, and it was like it was an outlet. It wasn't something that we thought about, hey, I'm going to go do it. So I don't know if I subscribe to that. I think that
when I was growing up, if they shot somebody on screen, you never saw blood. It wasn't allowed. It was too grotesque. And no one ever got stabbed. You saw the knife going at the person, but you never. I mean, Hitchcock in Psycho was the first one to get Janet Leigh in that with the
okay, hold on. Okay,
and the chick. Boy, was that a piece of work.
My turn. First of all, for 2 seconds only, we need you to take your hat and your glasses off because the girls in the chat room want to see what you look like. They think you're hot. So
come on now.
So there we go. So now pull the glasses off real quick. Oh, you should. Other people, we tell them to take their shirts off, fucking drop their drawers.
Now wait a minute.
There we go.
Wait. Now say in that sexy voice, spread them, baby. And you know what? All the women are out with their vibrators right now. There's going to be a blackout.
My hat looks crooked. I don't understand.
No, it looks good.
There's going to be a blackout from their vibrators.
I love it. So then the next thing I want to say is, okay, so
trip.
Many years ago, I was at Screamfest. I used to live in Florida. I actually had the privilege of meeting your father. He was very charismatic, very nice, very cool to his fans, just like you. That's where I was going.
Well,
is that you have a lot of the same characteristics as your father. I think you're very warm and genuine. You know, so when people are talking to you, you show a general interest in whatever it is that they're doing. It comes across as real, and I think that that is probably something that's going to always help you in everything that you're doing. But I think it's also very cool to come from the legacy that you come from, and you're not a dick.
Oh, well, thanks. I care about I care about everybody. I really do.
Now, are you related to Cesar Romero?
You know, there was somebody in my family who used to say that we were, but as far as I know, we're not.
How about Jose Romero? Jose Romero was my father's friend. He made many movies in the 1940s. He was the first, I believe he was either Mexican or Cuban. I'm not sure what he was, but I think he was Mexican because he sang with big Mexican hats. And Jose Romero was very famous in the 1940s. Good looking guy too. Then came Jesse Arnaz, and Romero sort of got kicked out.
Yeah, I don't think I'm related to him either.
Well, Romero is a pretty popular name.
Yeah, we're we're Spanish. Although recently somebody said that we were Puerto Rican, but there's anything wrong with that. But we're not. We're Spanish.
I love Puerto Ricans. Puerto Ricans are my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're Spanish, and then my dad's parents went over to Cuba and then got out from under Castro.
Right, Castro. But I grew up with Puerto Ricans. I went out with a beautiful green-eyed Puerto Rican girl, Gloria Hernandez, and her family. They didn't want me because I was white or whatever. They thought I was Christian. What the fuck is the difference? From Puerto Ricans to Italians, I don't know what the difference is. So she used to lie to them all the time. And she was up in my apartment, and we were making out, and her mother had to call her mother. So she said to me, put on Spanish music. So I put on Tito Puente. And the mother said, well, at least he likes Puerto Rican music.
That's hilarious.
So we were, and then my friend Teddy Gaglias, he married Angie, and the families threw them both out. He was Greek, and the Greeks said, we don't want Puerto Rican bride, and the Puerto Rican said, we don't want a Greek guy. That's how stupid it was back in the 60s. You talk about prejudice today. My God, we lived with such horrible prejudice back then. My sister was told you have to marry an Italian. She did. She got divorced a year later. Then she married a Greek guy, and they were married till they died, till he died. So I just hate that whole stupid mentality that was years ago.
So let's go back, though. I want to go back to the Indie Brigade just for a minute, and I want you to tell people about the facility. So you're in Virginia or West Virginia or someplace. Where are you?
I'm in Kentucky.
Kentucky. Okay. Oh, my dad's from Bowling Green.
Nice.
Okay.
I was born in Pittsburgh. I was raised between Pittsburgh and LA. I lived in LA for 15 years, and then I left LA, and it was probably one of the best things for my fucking spirit I could have ever done. And now I live in Kentucky with my beautiful.
Kentucky is beautiful, rolling hills.
Yep.
And the real estate used to be very, very soft. Now I bet it went up.
Not a ton.
Yeah, but
I heard you could buy a gorgeous for $350. You can get a mansion.
Yeah.
In LA for $350, you get an outhouse,
like a mobile home.
No, an outhouse.
So hold on. I want you to tell people, because like you're building something very cool.
What is he building?
And hang on, I'm trying to get rid of this. And tell everybody a little bit about it, because I know the Indie Brigade is a big part of it. About the facility that you're trying to build and what you're trying to do for the veterans and everything.
Well, the Veterans Compound is something I've worked a lot with veterans for. Oh God, maybe almost 15 years now, over a decade. So somewhere between 10 and 15 years. When I was young and I was rebelling, I tried to join the Marines several times, and I came back 4F all 3 times. And that kind of set me off in this kind of pissed off youth kind of outlaw thing. And anyway, over my life, I ended up realizing that most of the strangers who ever helped me out of jams, most of the people who were ever there for me were veterans. And I started, as I developed my own experience in life and in this business, I started, a lot of my vet friends would call me and ask me to just listen to them. And it started like that. And it started with a one-on-one type thing. And a lot of veterans would start to call me and talk about some of their experiences and shit they were going through. And one day I suggested to one of them, I said, why don't you write something down? And he said, well, I don't know how to write. And I said, well, yes, you do. It's simple. And you just have to, and anyway, we started talking, and he ended up writing a short story about his experiences when he was on deployment. And he called me up about a month later. And I'm skipping some of the details very deliberately because they're private details to this particular veteran. But he was in a very bad way when he started writing, and he called me up and asked me to read what he had written, and told me that he hadn't had one of these bad episodes since he started writing. And so I started to develop a theory that, because our veterans, when they get out of the military, they go through these demeaning sort of re-entry classes. Like a lot of our veterans are taught, they're made to go through classes to be taught how to grocery shop again and things like that, which they don't need, right? And a lot of times what that does is that makes them feel even worse than they already feel coming home. And so what the Veterans Compound basically became is an effort of mine to essentially help our veterans process a lot of their experiences through the creative arts, the visual arts, writing, whether it be music, whether it literally be cooking, or anything that is a visual, creative sort of expression. But beyond that, the Veterans Compound proper actually teaches the technology of filmmaking as well. So we teach everything from screenwriting to grip and electric to camera operation, cinematography. And I've been doing this one-on-one for a very long time now. And so I've just decided to sort of formally, start formalizing it. And my goal is to open a brick and mortar facility here right outside Lexington, Kentucky.
Wait, interruption. A brick and what?
Brick and mortar,
like an
actual physical place.
What is that called?
Brick and mortar, like an actual building where
because I didn't know. Maybe people out there didn't know what he meant.
Yeah, brick and mortar is like
a brick
an actual
and mortar
building.
means a health place?
No, an actual building.
An
Yeah,
actual.
you know, like in a world where everything's online now and people
Okay.
can
Okay.
make stuff,
Okay. Good.
like we're going to
Yeah.
actually build an actual proper facility.
Right.
And the nice thing about it is that the goal for this place is to take in a couple of classes of veterans a year, teach them the art of filmmaking, teach them the technology of filmmaking, and then actually produce a film with all of them on which they will get paid. They'll get paid competitive industry rates to work on the film. They'll gain hours toward union membership, and they will all be given a piece of ownership of the film.
That's absolutely terrific that you're doing that. Our very dear best friends, Andy Gladstein. He is the founder of Pets for Vets.
No,
What is
Dogs
it?
for Our Brave.
Well, I like Pets for Vets better. But anyway, Dogs for Our Brave, and Jimmy and I support that, and we do a lot of work with them because people that are vets that are handicapped, blind,
a post-traumatic
cripple,
stress
whatever.
disorder.
These dogs are trained to do the tasks that they would be doing if they weren't impaired. So it's a wonderful organization. Jimmy and I support the vets. We support the police department. We support law and order. We support everything.
I think it's a fabulous thing that you're doing. Everybody should
Yeah.
know about it. And also, I think, so wait, what are the website's romeropictures.com where people can find out more about Indie Brigade and everything?
Oh yeah, they can find out everything that I'm doing at romeropictures.com. Not
Okay,
everything,
now
not stuff I do when the lights are off, but
What's your
what's
your next movie?
well, actually, my next movie is now actually a comic book. Because earlier this year I formed a formal partnership with Heavy Metal Magazine, which
awesome. That's
is
so
one
awesome.
one of the most amazing and fun and honorable things of my entire career. And I've got this project that you can see over my shoulder called The Rise, that is sort of it's like a prologue. It's a pretty epic story that takes place during the 60s, before any of my dad's early work like Night. And so we are turning it into, I've had the honor and the privilege to learn how to write comic books from Mr. David Irwin and Mr. Joseph Illidge, two of my comic book world idols. And we are telling the story as a comic book first, with Heavy Metal Magazine, the first issue of which comes out, the first installment of The Rise comes out in October,
Congratulations.
inside the pages of Heavy Metal Magazine.
That is so
That's
freaking
wonderful.
awesome.
Did you know
Yeah.
that Jimmy and I are in a comic book?
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, it's out. Yeah,
Celebrity Ghost Hunters.
Celebrity Ghost Hunters. And the first page, you open it up, it's Eileen Shapiro. You know, she's got these gigantic 79Z bra tits. I mean, tits. She got tits. Her tits turn a corner before she does. I mean, you see. No, really, you see her tits coming and then she follows. Anyway, she was climbing over a 6-foot wire fence and her tits got caught on one side. And she's screaming to me, Ron, lift my tits up. They're caught on the fence. I was peeing myself laughing. I couldn't stop. She's cursing me out. Well, don't you think they put that in the comic book?
Of course they did.
It's hilarious. It's so much
And
fun.
it's so fun when I read the comic. I was like saying, oh my God, look. And there I mean, I couldn't move. When I saw those torpedoes hanging on one side of the fence and her on the other, I'm going to cry now from laughter. If you were there, you would have burst a vessel. It was, you couldn't.
The video got 300,000 plays on YouTube.
you can't even stage such a thing. It was so perfect. I mean, talk about tits for days.
So
Poor
also,
Eileen.
is
Eileen still in the chat room?
Yes, I think she's in the chat room. Also, there's a guy named Lance Wagner. Say hi to Lance Wagner because I think he's here because
Lance,
of you.
what's up? Are you here? Let me scroll.
Yeah, he's
the
cool.
thing. This
He's
is
very
the same
cool.
software we used to do the Indie Brigade. So when I realized that, I'm just going to scroll here. Lance, I love you, man. Lance is a brother. Lance is a co-host with his amazingly beautiful wife, Samantha Wagner.
Oh, she's in there too.
Yeah, they've got a show on the Indie Brigade Network called the Wagner Wiles.
There you go.
And you know what? If you really want to spend a good, wholesome, clean couple of hours on a Sunday night with a beautiful couple, tune into the Wagner Wiles.
Clean and wholesome.
So we're
on Twitch now too. So
we're on Twitch too. Actually, we're on Twitch right now. And Twitter. We're on Twitter.
I'm here with my my mic. Here we are. We're back on. I'm here with my handsome husband Jimmy. So there you go. But our show is not clean.
So hold on. He's got a bragging right. I mean, he's got lots of bragging rights over us, but he's got one bragging right you're going to be jealous of.
What?
He has had on the Indie Brigade. He had
not Patti LaBelle.
No, because he doesn't do music. He had Sam Jones.
Sam Jones, good old
He fucking
Sam.
loves Sam Jones.
I love Sam.
He's Flash Gordon. He'll always be my Flash Gordon. I'm a Flash Gordon freak. When I was a little boy, we played Flash Gordon. And if the kids didn't let me be Flash Gordon, I beat the shit out of them. I used to punch. No, I did. I beat them up. I said, no, I have to be Flash Gordon or we don't play. That's how serious I was.
You know, when
Sam came out with Flash Gordon, and he's my hero. We're going to get him on the show. He'll come on.
Yeah, when he came on our show, he was actually on David Madison's show the end of the night, and he did his show in front of his very own Flash Gordon pinball machine. How fucking cool is that?
That is very cool. Anyway, he's a cool guy. I understand.
So
he was in Florida. Remember when he was in Florida, and a bunch of people were hanging out with him, and they all said he was a cool guy.
Oh, he's cool.
Really nice.
So there's a guy who has a house here who collects like movie memorabilia. I don't even know where it is. I had to like go in, and I wasn't allowed to take pictures or anything. But he has the original Stratocaster, like from the Stratosled from the what year was that?
1936.
Like the 1936 Flash Gordon.
Buster
He has actual Star Wars, like actual ones used in the movie, and Terminator, and all these like cool things. It was the coolest thing ever.
Flash Gordon 1930s film. Charles Middleton played Emperor Ming, and he was really wicked and evil looking. It was a wonderful piece of work. Of course, corny as we look at it now.
He also had Dylan Sprouse, which won't mean anything to you, but it'll probably mean the people in the chat room, because he's like Riverdale. He's like the star of Riverdale, and he's like the coolest fucking guy ever.
Yeah, he's cool. He's got a comic with heavy metal called Sun Eater, and it's a great comic. And he came on the show with Brendan Columbus, who also has a comic with heavy metal. So
he's got like millions of followers.
And when Jimmy first met me and he found out I was a Flash Gordon freak, he had because Jimmy had a clothing line, he had his company manufacture the only one, an original Flash Gordon shirt that I have with Flash Gordon across it, and it's a one of a kind. And I never wear it because I don't want it to wear out. I only wear it for special occasions.
He has a Flash Gordon one and a Howdy Doody one.
So when we come on your show, I'm going to wear my Flash Gordon. That's a very big thing for me now. You got to say like, oh my God, Ron, how honored I am that you're wearing your Flash Gordon shirt on my show that was not good until you came on.
So let's talk horror movies a little. And you can't pick your dad's movies, and you can't pick your own movies. What are some of the iconic horror movies for you that you think, oh my God, these are like my favorite horror movies?
Clown Fear, The Big Friggin' Rat, and Croker.
Yeah, those are Ron's.
So it's funny. A lot of people try to get me to say my favorite horror film. And, it's funny. I actually never did up until earlier this year in quarantine. I did one of these Comic-Cons, these online Comic-Cons. And I announced my favorite horror film actually of all time is the original Alien.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So I think as far as horror film goes, it's got all the ingredients. It's perfect.
So Lance Henriksen is one of my favorite actors of all time. He's the coolest guy. And he makes these alien tiles. They're like a big tile. I don't know, 12 by 12 tile with the alien monster. He doesn't sell them or anything, but I met him at a convention and I gave him some clothes and we ended up hanging out and going, and he had been on our show. And so at the end of the weekend, he actually wrote like something like, Jimmy Star, you're a cool fucker, and signed it and gave me this alien tile. It's like that and my Clive Barker book that he drew a special drawing in for me are like my two prized possessions. And I have the pink pig from Saw 3.
And I fucking cool.
And I have the Buster Crab Flash Gordon doll with the Stratosled and the space gun and all that jazz, and never been opened. And I look at it.
I know, I fucking paid a fortune for that.
Well, you know what? I'm 80 years old, so when I croak in a couple of years, he could sell it.
No, Aliens are good though. That's a good movie. I mean, but people haven't usually picked it. Like, I'm a big Lost Boys fan. I love the Lost Boys. Absolutely. I was friends with everybody in it, so I'm a big Lost Boys fan.
Absolutely. But you know what? I'm going to cut you off because over the Lost Boys, I like Near Dark.
Oh, way better. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like the Lost Boys because I know the people in it, but Near Dark is the fucking best vampire movie ever made.
Ever.
No,
ever.
I have it. I have a copy of it signed by Lance Henriksen in my collection.
The best vampire movie ever made was Bela Lugosi. All right, corny as it was, I remember being with my cousin Bertha, about 10 years old. We went to a movie theater called The Dump in Astoria, Queens, and we were kids. And they played this rerun of a 30-year-old movie. We were terrified. That Bela Lugosi in that castle with the dust and the bats and the women walking around in chiffon, eerie, spooky, and wonderful. They tried so hard to reproduce that with Christopher Lee. Quick Christopher Lee story. I met him at a cocktail party at Shelby Goodman's house. And I said to him, Christopher, I loved all your work. You're the best vampire ever. And he looked at me arrogantly and said, I've played more than a vampire. And he turned his back. So I said, oh, fuck you. You know, stupid son of a bitch. Nobody knows you by any other thing but the vampire, you moron. Then I found out that his wife was with him wearing a cape to the floor and they do 3-ways. So I said, you know what? They're trash. And I walked away.
That they do 3-ways.
See, this is why I love you, Ron.
No, somebody said that he and his wife do 3-ways. I swear to God. Because I complained about how rude he was. They said, don't let it bother you. They do 3-ways. I thought, okay. You know,
one thing I think that's cool about you too is that you actually had to work your way up in the film world. Even though you're a Romero, you didn't like get a free pass.
No, fuck
no one gets a free pass.
Also, I think nowadays they do. I don't think they did back then.
Maybe if your father or mother is a very important actor. But although Angelina Jolie did not get a free pass because of John Voight, John did everything he could to stop her from being in the business.
But I noticed, though, that you were like a PA on some good films, though. Ransom, Roadhouse is one of my favorite fucking movies, dude. Yeah. Like I know every line in it. I love it. The Burbs, which is also a great movie. Monkey Shine, you know. And then I think probably my favorite movie of yours. I mean, I've seen Staunton Hill a bunch of times.
Thank you.
So I like that a lot. And then you did a movie recently, which I think you're the executive producer of, Killing Winston Jones, with a fucking huge cast.
Yeah, it's a pretty huge cast. That's a long story, but it turned out to be a really great film. So I hope that one gets out there and gets the recognition that I think it needs.
Listen to these people, you guys, just so you know, because we know several of these people: Richard Dreyfuss, Danny Masterson, Tyler Labine, which I'm actually like trying to get him for another film I'm doing right now. John Heater, I don't know, Napoleon Dynamite, Joel E. Fisher, who was on our show, Danny Glover, we met at a convention, Lynn Shea's been on our show. I mean, that's an A-list, big-ass, fucking awesome cast.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Albert Sandoval, actually produced and directed that, and he did a great job. He pulled something really special together on that. So.
And you've done a lot of work with Tom Sizemore, which we met at an Oscar party 2 years ago.
Love Tom.
We do too.
Yeah.
And Tony Todd, and we've had Tony Todd on the show. Ron loves Tony Todd.
I love Tony Todd. I sat next to him, and I had something stuck in my tooth, so I kept doing to get the whatever the fuck it was stuck in my tooth. And Tony turned around and he said, would you use a fucking toothpick or do something, but stop sucking on that tooth? You're making me crazy. So I looked at him. I said, fuck you. Don't you ever have things stuck in your tooth? He said, yeah, it's terrible. You feel like the whole body is off center. I said, he's a sweetie. I love Tony Todd. We had more fun together. He thought I was totally insane. He just couldn't stop laughing. He especially when I talked about black men having big wangs, he just couldn't deal with it. He was wild. He was so.
It always has to go to sex.
No, we had fun. No, I said to him, but the ladies like it. You hung like what, 11, 12, 14? And he started to laugh. He was a sport. I mean, a good guy. And he said, it's not true about all black men. I said, oh, are you one of those sixers? He said, no. You can't open those doors with me. I go right in. But I love Tony Todd. He is absolutely good actor, too.
Yeah. Phenomenal actor. Phenomenal actor.
And a nice man.
So let's say you could have directed any film, not your father's. You can never pick your father's or your own films in any question that I ask. But like if you could have been the director or written any horror film, any film, it doesn't even have to be horror, any film in history, what film would you have liked to like written and directed?
Man, congratulations. That's one I don't think I've ever gotten. That's a tricky one.
That's tricky. That's Trixie. That's Trixie the Tricker.
I don't, here's how I feel about that, right? I feel like if a movie is good enough for me to have that thought, then there's no way I could fucking outdo whoever did it. So I never thought about things like that. But I guess if I had to pick something, I mean, Oh, geez. I don't even.
Whatever comes into your head first.
Fuck.
Fuck, that was a good movie.
You know, that's a really good question. I don't know I don't know. I never thought about it like that.
A lot of times we have actors on, so then I ask them, what movie would you have liked to have been in if you were an actor? Any movie in history that's ever been made, what movie would you think it would be great to have been in? I always ask them, and then I always ask them, and who is your bucket list of two people, a male and female, that you would love to work with, in a movie? But since you're not really an actor and you're the director and the writer,
I'll tell you. Here you go. How about Buried? What was that one with Ryan Reynolds, Buried, where it was in the coffin? I think
fucking good movie.
I think I could have shot that a little
Which
bit.
one was that?
It's called Buried, where Ryan Reynolds is buried under the ground.
I didn't. Oh, I saw that. That was
Yeah.
good. That was a good movie.
Very
good movie.
And then there was one called what was it? The one with the people in the elevator that I actually was talking.
Love that movie.
So I was talking with the devil in the elevator.
Yeah,
love it.
Somebody was talking to me about doing that one, and they went a different route with it.
See, those are not really killer blood blow 'em up movies. Those are more suspenseful thrillers.
That's what Ron likes.
I like them. Now, what did you think of the most horrific piece of shit ever made in the world? And the people that did it should have been shot at dawn. The caterpillar thing.
Oh, Human Centipede. He thinks that's the grossest thing ever.
I think it was honestly, if you want my true opinion, I think it was in bad taste. So
bad taste isn't the fucking word. It was disgusting.
I loved it.
It was horrific. It was demented. It was weird.
I had the whole cast and the director on the show before I was with Ron.
Good thing, because if they were on with me, they would have been very unhappy people. They wouldn't say Ron Russell's very nice. I would never be in that film. I don't give a shit if they, maybe for $1 million.
Did you see Ready or Not?
I did. That movie was fun.
That was good, right?
Yeah.
It's on HBO now. That's the movie where the girl gets married and then they pick out the game card and it ends up that she has to play hide and seek. That was a good movie.
Yeah, but you know what? That was a takeoff. That was stolen from Cornell Wilde back in 1948. He made a movie where a multimillionaire kidnapped him, brought him to the island, and sent him out naked to be hunted. And they all went out hunting Cornell Wilde, and it was called The Naked Truth or The Naked Runner. I think the film was called The Naked Runner. And it was back then a sensational film because we had, again, never seen anything quite like it. And it was very, very frightening that they were going to kill Cornell Wilde, who didn't have any weapons. But in the end, he screwed them and got away with it.
I loved Ready or Not. I thought it was freaking awesome. I also liked I think it was called The Hunt, maybe.
I haven't seen that one yet.
That one's a good one.
Okay, let's talk about the best scary black and white movie ever made, The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay.
Did you ever see it?
Yeah.
Was it not fabulous?
It was amazing.
When they were banging on the door, it was rubber. Boom, 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 boom. I was shitting. I got so scared. It was spooky. It was spooky. And then when she's downstairs spinning around the statues, that music, beautifully done. Really eerie, really scary. And the end when she crashes in the tree and she speaks, and now I'm home. It was really a wonderful film. The Haunting, black and white.
I've seen
the book, The Haunting of Hill House.
What about, did you know Bill Heinzman?
Did I know Bill Heinzman a little bit? Yeah, I did. Just a little bit. Not as well as a lot of other people, but he was probably one of the nicest men you've ever met.
He certainly is. He's a gent.
He was.
He was.
Now, he was fabulous. I actually, like whenever I go to like those conventions, a lot of time they have me judge shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually sat next to him judging like a Halloween contest for like 2 hours. So like we had a really good time. I had known him for years, but I didn't really know him. But that's the first time I'd ever sat with him when nobody was bothering us. And it was really like cool. And I bring it up too, just because like, he's got a Night of the Living Dead action figure, which is a freaking. Do you collect action figures?
I used to. When I was going back and forth, I had a studio in Pennsylvania, and a lot of my stuff actually, I went out to LA for a business trip, and I came back, and a lot of my stuff was gone. So I just never put the
stolen.
Yeah, so I just never put the effort back into getting a new collection.
Did you ever find out who?
Do you have
stole
one
it?
of
Wait,
yourself?
Shut up. Did you ever find out who stole it?
Well, no.
Did you have an idea? Did you suspect them?
No. I mean,
Oh, Jimmy
It's
would
either a no or I would have had a fucking heart
Jimmy
attack.
would have gone with 10 machine guns and shot everybody.
That's my
Yeah,
favorite
so-
thing. Is my thing. Do you have? Is there a George C. Romero action figure?
No, but we should start that hashtag.
No, we should start that hashtag because I collect action figures of everybody who comes on the show if they have one. Like 2 weeks ago, we had on. Now shit, I forgot his name already.
Yeah, but you know
no,
what?
wait. Let me finish. We had the drummer from Def Leppard, Rick Allen.
Okay.
And then I went and bought his action figure on eBay, like after he came on, and I'm sending him one of them.
Now, somebody contacted us for permission. They wanted to make dolls of Jimmy and I. And I said, no, permission not granted. I believe in voodoo. And I believe that doll, people will stick needles in it and kill me or make me sick. So I said, no, I don't need what the fuck you want a doll of me for? What are
I
you gonna,
want one.
Yeah, but let them stick needles in you.
Yeah, well, actually, the chat room loves it. George Romero pop figure, Funko Pop George Romero. We need to get that going. Let's start that hashtag.
Did that broad ever make those dolls of us?
Oh, I don't know.
I hope not. She was supposed to send us a stereo. What was it called? It's not a stereotype. What do they call that?
Prototype.
Prototype. I said, no, you don't have permission to use my image. I don't want people.
That's hilarious. So
Getting
here's what we're
dolls.
going to do because our next guest is getting ready to show up.
Yeah.
So you guys, first of all, this is George Romero. So the website is romeropictures.com. You can watch the Indie Brigade Friday nights from 6 to I don't know. It's 9 Eastern time.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. We're on YouTube. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/indie_brigade. We're on Facebook. We speak the Facebook language really well, and we're just now moving over to Twitch. So we've got links everywhere, but you can find your way to us everywhere at romeropictures.com.
And you also can follow him on Twitter. He's I am George Romero on Twitter.
Yep.
And what are you on Instagram?
I have no idea. I think it's George. I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Just type in George Romero and it'll come up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad that we met. You're a nice guy. You're real. You're down to earth. The kind of people I like. No fanfare. No phony shit. I hate people like that who
There's
think
no fucking time for phony shit.
who they think who the fuck they are because they're on television like Jimmy Star. But anyway,
Yeah,
So
right.
well, listen, you guys are coming on next Friday, not this Friday.
next Friday we got a date, baby. Yeah,
It'll be a lot of fun. We look forward to it. Everybody, this is George Romero. Thank you so much for coming on. It's such a pleasure having you on, and hopefully we'll get lots of views and send some traffic your way for your show too.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. It's been a real pleasure. Really nice to meet you.
Alrighty.
Have a great weekend. Stay safe, baby.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye now.
Bye.